Hey everyone, welcome back to the basics of the cards. Today we're going to go through Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, so that you can learn about every one of the different essences that is represented by each of these numbers and these faces. The symbology of the cards is not just related to the symbols of the hearts, the clubs, the diamonds, and the spades that I go through in Basics 2, but the symbols actually extend to the numbers. For example, I'm a 4. A 4 represents the foundation, 1, 2, 3, 4, the pillars that hold something up. In the same way, each of these numbers represents a certain kind of essence, a certain kind of strength. Every strength is a double-edged sword, so every strength has a consequent weakness. And each of these numbers signifies certain strengths, which then in turn signifies certain weaknesses. And as you learn about your cards and the cards, since we all hold multiple cards, you learn about your own cards and your family's cards, you'll start to see a lot of their strengths and weaknesses be personified through the symbols of the cards. And that is why the cards are so cool, because it is a symbology. So without further ado, everything starts with the ace. Ace is number 1, the initial fire from which everything was born. The ace is the individual, uninhibited by anybody else. Their lives are very individualistic, very unique, and very much about them. Aces can be construed as selfish, but it's because they are the leaders. They are totally individualistic. They're totally unique. They don't need anybody else's advice about how to go through their life, which makes them a little hard-headed, a little naive. It all starts with them, though. It is this fire, this ambitious, excited nature that aces bring to life. When you notice some of the aces in your life, you will love it, because aces are such aces, and that is true of every card. 2s are such 2s, 3s are such 3s, and again, we all hold many cards, but depending on what your first and your second most important cards are, is going to be how you really relate to the world and act within the world. So aces are very unique. They're very individualistic. They're very magical. They're very ambitious. They know what they want. They're hard-headed, and they're going to go for what they want regardless of what anybody else thinks, because ace is number 1. Number 1 is number 1. They are the individuals, and it's all about them. And that's great. We need that energy in the world. But what comes next after just being an individual? Partnership, of course, brotherhood, sisterhood, being in a relationship with somebody. The number 2 represents union of two minds, of two hearts, of two bodies, of two ideas, of two anything. 2 represents having reverence for what others can bring to you. Yes, you are an awesome individual, but how much more can you create if you're creating something with somebody else? I like to explain to in this way. Think of one note that somebody's playing on a violin, and oh, it's just the prettiest note, right? But then another violin comes in with another note that is in harmony with that first note, and tears come to your eyes, and it's just so beautiful because harmony is amazing. 2 people can create what 1 cannot. 1 can also create what 2 cannot. Einstein, Newton, every genius in the world had to be introspective and quite their own individual, of course. But sharing knowledge, the harmony of ideas, the harmony of companionship, of sharing your experiences with another, of creating things together. Oh, it's so beautiful. So 2 represents companionship, reverence for others, loving others. This can also manifest as being too dependent on others or what others think. That's fine. Just like every card is a double-edged sword, every strength is also a weakness. Aces are very individualistic, but this can make them selfish. 2s are very partnership-oriented, but this can make them dependent on what others think, right? So we're going to go through each of the cards in that way. Don't take anything offensively. It's all just, natural. So the next number is 3. 3 represents uninhibited expansion in every direction. The way I like to describe this is, okay, say you have 2 people sitting in a cafe. It's me and you. We have my energy. your energy, and then the energy that our relationship creates, right? So there's two people, but only three energies. Enter third person. Third person comes in. We have my energy, your energy, and their energy is 3. Then we have me and them, 4, me and you, 5, you and them, 6, and then all of us together, 7. So 7 energies for 3 people instead of 3 energies for 2 people. You can just tell that is exponentiation. 3 represents, hey, there's not only ever going to be just 2 energies, there's always going to be more. So 3 represents expansion, uninhibited, in every direction. You can think of a 3 as Donald Trump. He's all over the place. He's a 3. He's just totally all over the place. Indecisive. That is like a bad manifestation of a 3. 3s can, because they are so, they are just magnetic. They are so attracted to so many things. This makes them really attractive, but it makes them also have so many things going on that they are sometimes confused. They lack focus. They are indecisive because there's so many things that they love. There's so many things that they are good at, that how do they choose which one to do? So often the plague of a 3's life will have to do with like being confused or being too scattered or having too much going on. That's just the energy of a 3. They're also probably really good at a bunch of things, and they're also probably really loved by a bunch of people. I brought up Trump, but also Bernie Sanders is a 3 of diamonds, and Trump's a 3 of diamonds. But also JFK plus Jackie Kennedy made the 3 of diamonds. I bet you other presidents also had the 3 of diamonds in their spread, if not as one of their main cards, because it seems like we just love 3 of diamonds running the United States. I'd be interested in looking at other world leaders too and seeing if people like 3 of diamonds all over the world. But the 3 is the expansion and the diamonds are value. So the expansion of value is what we like to have leading our country. Whether or not you like Trump, I don't. Not being an advocate of Trump, just using him as an example. Okay, so then the expansion of a 3 is then used, as a foundation for something through the 4. The number 4 exists to create a foundation, a fortress, the 4 pillars that will allow something to be built out of all this expansion. You can't choose what you're going to build because 3 is all over the place. Well, 4 is going to come in and say, hey, this is what we're going to use our expansion for. Let's build methodically, step by step. 4s are logical, practical builders of things. So this means the 4 of hearts, which is my card, is the builder of love. The 4 of clubs is the builder of communication and of the mind. The 4 of diamonds is the builder of things of value. The 4 of spades is the builder of things of wisdom. Today is actually a 4 of spades day, and it's awesome because today is 4/4, it's April 4th, which is also a 4 of spades day. This is, to me, as a 4, personally, one of the most fantastic days of the year. So I'm really glad to be doing these videos on this day. Last year was when I started my Katie the Card Lady Instagram on this day. I just love the 4 days. 4s are for building. They are for creating a platform on which to stand, for creating a fortress within which to feel safe and loved and empowered. 4s create fortresses not only for ourselves, but for others to stand upon. And that's why I think, me being the 4 of hearts, being the foundation of love, it's really important for me to spread this information about the cards, because that is my foundation of loving myself. So I've definitely got to share it. I'm gonna cry. So then 5 comes in, and 5 says, all right, you created your 4 pillars, but there's always going to be something that comes right in the middle of your plans and makes it so you can't just go straight through anything. You can't just go straight through, something's here in the way. Something's forcing you to change. So 5 represents change. It represents adaptability, flexibility in the face of change. It represents flow. And something I want to mention is that every person, no matter what your card, you're going to manifest each of your cards differently than somebody else would manifest. And I say this because a person who is a 5 or has a lot of 5s in their life path, you might be the one who is so changing and you're making everybody else change. Or you might be somebody who's so resistant to change, and that's why you have fives in your life path, because you have to learn to change. Same with if you're a four. You might be the builder of foundations and you're building them for other people, or you might be in this world to see how others build foundations so that you can try to do the same. There's always so many ways to look at how these symbols and these essences, these energetic elements are at play in our life. And that's why I like to do readings with people one-on-one, where we can really delve into, okay, how is this true for you? Because just because you're a five doesn't mean that you are changing all the time. It just means that change is a huge part of your life. And how is that true for you? So moving on, six now takes the change of five and balances everything out. As we go through, you'll see that the even numbers tend to be balanced on the face of the cards, and the odd numbers tend to be unbalanced. Balance, it's kind of equal. Unbalanced, there's one in the middle. Balanced, unbalanced, and so forth. So to me, that kind of represents like the yin and yang of life. We're always going back and forth between balance and not, and trying to find the middle way and balance. But as far as what the cards mean, I would say even numbers tend to be a little more maybe they're a little more stable, but they're also a little more controlling accordingly. Harder to budge. I'm a 4 and a 6, and I am stubborn as all get out. I'm very open to hearing what people have to say, but when it comes to like actually budging or changing, I've built my life the way I've built my life to be balanced in the way I want it to be balanced, and I don't need anybody else telling me how I should, I'm just stubborn. That's part of being a 6 and part of being a 4. But 6 represents harmony. It represents balance, and it represents karma. Okay, you were just going through all of these changes. How do you then balance it out? And despite the change, make everything harmonious. How do you go with the flow and have adaptability and flexibility that's taught by the 5, but also you have karma that's coming back around to actually balance everything for you. Balance is actually achieved by karma. How is balance achieved other than by karma? What goes around comes around. So people who have a lot of 6s in their life path, or people who have 6s high, as an important part of their spread, you're going to have a lot of karmic influences to deal with in your life. You're probably going to have some control issues, some issues with stubbornness, some issues with balance and harmony. It's going to be coming at you all the time. Again, you could be the one who is balancing everybody else, or life could be constantly balancing you. There's no way of really knowing until you get into your cards for yourself, and that is why this stuff is so fun, because there's just unending ways for you to look into it. It's all just about you journaling and going on the journey of finding yourself and finding how these essences are at play for you. So after karma comes in and balances everything, well, you still got the temptation of lucky number 7. Ooh, 7, so sexy. Everyone's favorite number, right? 7. It's just lucky and fun and cool, and I've just recently started knowing that 7s are temptation, that is what they represent. I used to describe them as a silver platter that's coming around, and it's like, ooh, here's all these delicious dishes, but some of them are really good for you and some of them are really bad for you, so which are you gonna eat? The clubs is the realm of the mind. So the 7 of clubs would be the silver platter of, hey, do you want to think these good thoughts, or you want to think these bad thoughts? They're all delicious, but they're going to take you to completely different places in your mind. You're either going to spiral upward in thinking positively, or you're going to spiral downward into a devastating black hole. So 7 in that way represents temptation. It's always people who have a lot of 7s, or a main 7 in your life spread. Temptation is going to be a big part of your life. You might be the tempter, or you might be the tempted. You're probably both. In each of the cards, you're probably dealing with the issue in both ways, being the changer and the changey, being the foundation layer, as well as the foundation breaker, as well as relying on other people's foundations. The essences of the cards become evident to us in so many ways throughout our lives. It is so cool to really see how it happens. So after the temptation of 7, 8 comes in and is like, I can overcome temptation. I am powerful. 8 is the number of power. When you turn 8 on its side, it's infinity, right? So 8 is infinite power. It's also control. So 8s are often very much leaders. They're very much respected. They're very much revered by others because they're very hard workers. And again, they're able to overcome temptation to create pure control. And so with 8s, control and power are going to be a big thing in their lives. If you're in a relationship with an 8, there's going to be control issues. If your relationship together with somebody makes an 8, there's going to be control issues. And we all have to deal with control issues and power issues, right? But 8s are really how that essence comes into being, as is true of each of the cards, So then after power, I like to describe this between the power of 8 and the completeness of 10, because 10 represents having gotten to the end, being completion. 9 is the revolution, the rebirth, the transformation that is just inherent in taking power to completion. You need complete transformation and rebirth. There's always going to be something that comes in that makes you burn in the fire in order to evidence that you deserve to get to the end, to completion. So you've been able to tell how all of these numbers build upon each other, right? The individual, partnership, expansion, foundation leads to change, which is balanced, which is then tempted to make power. Power must then be reborn and completely transformed, die in the fire to be reborn from the ashes to create the completeness of 10. The 10 is similar to the ace in that it's very individualistic, very unique, very much a leader, but the 10 has the backing of all of the other lessons. It is thus less naive than an ace would be. A 10 is way more complete and generally very successful. People who are 10s or have 10s in their life spread are very successful. They're revered just like an 8 as a leader. And 10s are often like the teachers. They are blessed to be great communicators. They are usually just blessed in general because they represent having learned all of the lessons of their specific realm. So the 10 of hearts represents the completion of love. The 10 of clubs represents the completion of communication, which is why the 10 of clubs is the teacher and why the 10 of hearts is the social success card, because anyone who has completed all of the lessons of love is going to be very socially successful. So after the 10, we know that we have the Jack, Queen, and King. Those are the only 3 that are left. The Jack and the Queen and King are the royal cards. Each of them is going to add its own royal essence to the completion of the 10. So all of these definitely symbolize all of the other realms, all of the other numbers of existence, right? Because since 1, then comes 2, then comes 3, all of them build upon each other to get to 10. Well, the Jack has all of those below him, the Queen has all of those below her, the King has all of those below her. So people who are royal, I have come to learn in my 10 years of doing this, people who are royal know that they are royal, okay? The only people who ever don't want to know their cards, I swear it, the only people who don't want to know their cards are kings. For the last 5 years, whenever anybody says, oh, I'm not interested in knowing my cards, they always end up being a king. I swear. Because the king is at the very top, thinks they know everything. But that's not to say that every king thinks they know everything. But the royal cards totally do have this understanding that they are royal in and of themselves. So I'm going to talk about the essences that each of these brings. So the Jack is the royal essence that is the son of the King and the Queen. The King has to deal with the political order. The Queen has to deal with the social order. The Jack is like the son of the King and Queen, who is royal but without all of the responsibility. Jacks are cool, they are fun, they are progressive, they are tempting like a 7, but it's because they are just so brilliant and romantic and fast, and they're very forward. When you look at the jacks in your life, you'll totally understand how they are jacks. They're just fun, and they kind of exist on this different plane than everybody else. Um, Whew, they are definitely sexy, and they're very cunning. A jack can kind of get what he wants. He can be cunning. So then you have the queen, who is representative of kindness and generosity, and the mother. The queen is the mother. She's the one who has to deal with the social aspect of the realm. So queens are often very generous, very loving, but of course they're also dramatic. They are a queen. This is a symbology. This is symbols. A queen is a symbol of drama, okay? And anything that you know, anything that a queen or a king reminds you of, or an ace reminds you of, it's likely that your understanding of that symbol is definitely applicable in this discipline. So a queen represents the mother and the loving, intuitive, generous, feminine. But that's not to say that a man can't be a queen. Often men who are queens are like the best kind of men ever, because they totally understand like the vulnerability that is necessary to move forward. Man, that dog is barking loud. So then the king of spades is actually the highest of all the cards, 52 out of 52, which only happens on January 1st of any given year. But the king of spades, but the king represents the ruler of the realm that he is the king of. The king of clubs is the king of communication. The king of hearts is the king of love. But kings often are lonely at the top, right? They are the only one that is ruling. People don't understand things the way that a king does, and they don't see things from the top the way that a king does. So often kings feel very misunderstood. They feel like they can't really connect with people because they are just lonely at the top. But they are also just so, they take the generosity and the giving nature of the queen, and they just add to it even more power. Jacks and queens and kings are all also leaders, just like the 10. And yeah, a king just represents like true strength and real, the 10 is completion, but the king is actually where the suit ends. And so all of the lessons of everybody in the suit are going to culminate into the king. And actually, all of the lessons of every suit culminate into the king of spades, the highest card of all. So I hope that you enjoyed this journey through the cards. I really look forward to telling you about your cards. I have a workbook coming out really soon where you'll be able to figure out your own cards, or I would love to do a video for you. Please get in touch with me. Please feel free to comment on this video if you have any questions or comments. I hope I explained everything in a non-offensive and understandable way. It's been really fun making these basics videos for you today, so thank you so much for watching. Mwah! Have a wonderful day.